Serious, in the spirit of October, what's the creepiest or most paranormal experience that has happened to you? A ghost, or some sort of entity, contacted me in a series of ways, in the physical reality and metaphysical, meaning dreams. When we finally met face to face in my dreams, she had warned me about my boyfriend who I lived with, and was cheating on me while I went to work every day. In the bed we slept in. Although the spirit didn't give me these specific details, she did say that she did not like him. I asked her why? She just said he's not a good person. Being superstitious as I am, I was moved to check his phone. I found this out to be true by photos he took and saved in his phone like a stupid idiot. Saw an UFO with my friend when we were kids. We were riding a bike through our town when we spotted a huge ball of light hovering in the air. It was during a sunny, clear skeet day and the ball was changing the colors from yellow to orange to red. It was far away in front of a hill, when it made a slow and elegant turn behind it, hiding from the sight. It then slowly came back, floated a bit upwards and then just shot away super quick into the sky. We drove back to my friend's house and told her mom, who just laughed at us and said we were crazy. When I asked my friend about it just a few weeks ago, she said she doesn't remember it, which is weird because we used to talk about it for months after it happened. Also, my grandma and most of the folk from village, who are by the way very religious, saw the same thing in the 70s when working on the field. Strange. Well, happened in September, so shouldn't be too late. I met another dead spirit, I guess. I had many crazy encounters since my mother's side has females that has magic and crazy out of the world dreams. But this spirit made sounds that freaked out my mother. These spirits would only let me see them kinda a bit. And I also noticed the movement and sounds. I was even taking a shower and something moved and I checked the door was locked and found what made the sound. I just know who moved it. But now it's too quiet. All I know, they are still watching me and might also that agree that I should pay attention on school and other people. And yes, I'm fine, and yes, I'm aware of demons. They are scared of me since I don't have a fear and I know how to handle them. Yet that doesn't mean won't have any more encounters yet as a young kid. Sorry how long this is. Several years ago I was staying at my uncle's house in a room next to their garage. My uncle and I were supposed to go fishing early the next morning. I woke up and it was pretty dark out, but I saw the silhouette of a guy leaning on the wall looking at me. I assumed it was my uncle and started talking to him. "Yeah, him getting up, let's go," I said. I walked right past him to turn the lights on. Turned around and there was no one there. WTF, I might be dreaming, I thought. Turned the lights back off and went back to sleep. I didn't think about this again for a couple months. I was over at my uncle's house again for dinner when his wife says, "I got to take Uncle Benny's ashes to the mountain and spread them. He's been here for a while." I was like, "Who's Uncle Benny and what are you talking about?" Apparently Uncle Benny is my aunt's uncle who died several months before I went to my uncle's house. His ashes were in the garage next to where I was sleeping. I wonder if he was looking at me thinking, who the fuck is this guy? I have a couple other stories as well. A few weeks ago, I was sitting in my room just minding my buildings when all of a sudden I feel a cold presence in the room with me. I felt that it was in the corner of my room opposite my bed, so I just brushed it off and later went to sleep. That night, I woke up twice, which is a very rare occurrence for me because I am a heavy sleeper. The first time I woke up I felt very rested, so I thought that it was a few minutes before my alarm was to go off. It wasn't, and I had only been asleep for about an hour or so. Then I went back to sleep. I woke up again later that night to what I thought was an earthquake. I live in California, so I just assumed that if it didn't go away in a few seconds, I would get up and stand in my doorway. Safety precautions. It went away in a few seconds, so I went back to bed. When I woke up for the final time to start my day, I asked my mom if there was an earthquake last night. She said no. I googled it, no earthquake. The presence has been in my room for about a month now. I'm thoroughly convinced it is one of my deceased grandparents, since I never really knew them. My only question is why they weren't there sooner, since I've lived in this same house for 9 years and they died long before that. I had a bolt go missing from a box I left in my truck outside, not even a minute in actions, putting box with bolt in it inside my truck. I decided to go have a coffee. Pulled clean mug out of cabinet, filled it up from my office-size stainless canister coffee brewer and popped it in the microwave. I go to take a sip and something moved in the bottom of the cup, like a rock rolling around. I dump out coffee, and it's a bolt from someplace else. Not the one that mysteriously just went missing. This is just one of my true paranormal. Going at an answer with scientific method. Chromium is the common denomination. My bare hands, and an event on a military airplane that set the pace decades prior, while I was a crew chief. Shrugged off as atomic. The aircraft is junked BTW, it won't be coming back. I also had a 9/16 THS wrench that would disappear and show up whenever it felt like it. That went on for 6 years. It finally never came back, and some joke of the Philadelphia experiment. So I was living in a cabin in some woods in the Rockies. My family and I, who are religious, knelt down for prayer in my and my brother's room. I was about 7 at the time. One of my brothers was called to say it. As soon as he said the first syllable, I blinked. Why I blinked instead of just closing my eyes, I don't know, but everyone was gone. The prayer circle now consisted of only me. The lights were off. I got up off my knees, and saw that my brothers were already in bed, asleep. Even though I was young, I was smart. I figured one of two things happened. Either I had been frozen on my knees with my eyes closed, or my mind had been taken over for around 2 hours, then I had been returned to the exact spot I had been kneeling and awoke, all memories erased. I couldn't have just had a mental blackout, else I would be in bed, not kneeling on the floor. The fact that my bed looked like I had crawled out of it supported that theory. It had been around 6 o'clock or 7 p.m. when we started, and when I went into my parents' room the clock read 9 p.m. To determine which of the two options happened to me, I woke my mom up and asked, "Did I give you goodnight hugs?" To which she replied, "Go to bed, it's 9 o'clock." To this day, I don't know what happened or how it happened, and as much as I've tried, I haven't been able to do it again. Definitely one of the strangest experiences I've ever had. A girl talked to me once. I was with some mates up at a car park by a quarry at the side of the hills, near where I live. This was a few years ago, but I remember it clear as day. It happened at night though. I was sat on a gate, and I watched what appeared to be an old lady, dressed all in black, walk up the path that takes you up the hills. As she approached the path she disappeared. My immediate thought was that I had imagined what I had seen. That seemed to fit in with reality. She glided more than she stepped and she wore what looked like a shawl, which even for back then, near on 20 years ago, was not something you would see a lot of people wearing. But then, my friend came and stood by me and described seeing just what I had just seen, and asked if I had seen it. I told him that I had, and we asked if anyone else with us had seen anything. Nobody else had. But my friend is someone who I trust and is very down to earth. His confirmation of what I had seen made me know I had seen something very otherworldly. My mum and I, and some other members of the family, were doing a blessing at the local cemetery for my deceased uncle and grandfather. They died before I was born, so I never knew them. I'm not even close to my mother's side of the family. During this blessing, I felt something come up behind me and wrap themselves around me, just as if they were hugging me. While it didn't feel malicious, it did freak me out that I decided to leave. It wasn't until later I told my mum that she said that her brother used to hug people from behind, so he was probably greeting me. Another one was that I used to hate sleeping in my bedroom, as there was this sad presence in the room that scared young me. Even some nights our dogs used to sit there barking at the corner. Sometime after found out from our neighbors that the previous tenant committed suicide in that room / Not sure if I believe in the afterlife or anything. I'm still skeptical and can't really explain logically about what happened, could just be an active imagination. A demon in an ex-convent. Toothbrush fell on me, but I was 1 meter away from toothbrush cup. And also something threw toilet paper at me, this time I was 1/3 of meter away. Also, I locked door both times before it happened. I worked for a morgue bagging and tagging dead people and bringing them back to the mortuaries. One night I brought in a body and put it in the freezer. While I was signing the sheet listing the body and the items I brought in, the radio in the other room turned on randomly. This was at Queen of Heaven, a very Christian mortuary. So it started playing gospel music. This was at 3 a.m. and no one else was around, so I have no idea how that radio turned on, but I booked it out of there real quick.